Hi guys, welcome to the TOWTalk Podcast. I'm here with my buddy Neil, and we're going to talk about all the things that are happening in the town and the world and why it's fucking sucking. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway.
Optimism! Remember what Don said. Optimism. You have to be optimistic.
So, as everybody knows, the federal government is shut down, and they are blaming Democrats for this, claiming that Democrats want to give, $1.5 trillion to illegal immigrants for Medicaid. And look, this
First of all, can we stop calling them illegals? They're not illegal. They're undocumented. Right?
Undocumented.
Illegal implies something else, and I'm sorry, and it's not undocumented, right? Because a lot of these immigrants are documented.
Yep,
right?
They sure
what
are.
they're doing is they're removing their documented status in order to do the expedited deportations. So let's be clear, this isn't criminals, this isn't people who are here illegally, this isn't people who did something. This is the government, right, orchestrating and manipulating this environment, right, for their own narrative. And I'm sick and tired of it. I would also like to point out that the Republicans control 3 branches of government. All 3 branches of government, right?
Yep.
And they control the entire House. They control the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the presidency. This idea that Democrats have any part or any say in any of this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Literally was going to say that. It's actually 4 control, okay? Republicans have the House, the Senate, the presidency, and the Supreme Court. And oh, by the way, Trump has been walking around saying that we've generated $17 trillion in tariff money, right? Well, you know what? It sounds to me like you got your money. So, just to paraphrase the Republicans.
Who's paying the tariffs? It's us. It's a tax on us.
My point is if you have this money, and you've got all this power and control of government, I'm going to paraphrase what the Republicans told the Democrats. Go fund yourselves. Here's
the funny thing that I'm going to say, right? Republicans all got together, okay? And they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bail out the Argentinian farmers. $20 billion, right?
And their whole economy.
Right. So in order for soybean farmers in Argentina to be able to sell their crops to China, the United States, right, even though we're in this shutdown, exempted $20 billion to bail out the Argentinian government. So America first, right?
Yeah.
Except for Argentina.
Except
for Argentina.
Make Argentina great again.
Right. Make Argentina great again. That's what MAGA stands for. Make Argentina great again. Like, I'm absolutely like that to me is like, all right, well, we're going to fund part of the government that's going to bail out another country, but the rest of the government that actually helps Americans, fuck them, right?
Yeah.
That's what the Republicans did. And they did that. They flat out did it. And they were unapologetic about it and then turned around and blamed the Democrats.
Well, that's the latest thing. Well, you know what? There have been a number of polls, a YouGov poll, and nobody's buying it. At least 2/3 of this country is not buying it. Only the basic 28 to 33% that is part of MAGA. They stand by this.
I want to address another issue too that you brought up about how the Democrats want to get health care for undocumented. So first of all, by law, federal law, right? If you're undocumented, you do not have an ability to access health care in this country. Right? Just don't. Okay? There is a 1986 law. 1986, right? Who was president in 1986 there, Denise?
Reagan.
Remember? Reagan. Right, okay. So Reagan signed into law, right, a law that stated that if you show up to an emergency room, no matter what, you will get treated, right? Because back before then, you could show up to an emergency room, and if you did not have health insurance, they did not have to treat you.
Or a means
right?
of paying.
Right, or a means of paying. They didn't have to treat you. Okay, and what it basically said is emergency rooms should be for everybody, and we need to treat the patient no matter what. Okay, that's when we were a compassionate country. Okay,
Yes.
when we believed in that. Right. Apparently, the Republicans want to go back to the age, right, where you could show up to an ER and not be treated and thrown out on the street and die on the street. Right. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. Right? So believe it or not, a lot of Americans, this isn't just undocumented, a lot of Americans don't have health care.
Yeah.
Right?
And a lot more are going to have it very soon.
You get into a car accident, you have an accident somewhere else, accidents occur, somebody has an injury, you don't have insurance, you're going to go to an ER, right? If you're an American, you want to know that you show up to the ER, you're going to be treated. Right? That you're just not going to die on the street or in your home or wherever, right? And this is like the equivalent of a death panel, right? Like we were talking about death panels in the 90s. This is your death panel, right? So Trump came in and he immediately stopped that, right? So the law still exists that you show up to an ER, right? The ER has to treat you. It's now become an unfunded mandate. So what used to end up happening was you show up to the ER, you didn't have insurance to pay. Again, undocumented, documented, citizen, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
You didn't have the ability to pay, right? You can't have the hospitals taking a bath on that.
Right.
Right?
But they can request repayment from Medicaid.
They can, right.
For
they
that
can request,
specific treatment.
Correct. So what we've been hearing right around the United States is that these local rural hospitals are closing, right? We hear this all the time, right? Even they closed the trauma center in Garnett. What's the reason for that? Well, the Trump administration said we're not giving those reimbursements anymore. We're not paying that money anymore. So you still have to treat, right, the people who are uninsured, right? But the federal government isn't going to fund that anymore. Okay?
Wow.
So this is one of the reasons why healthcare premiums are going through the roof, right? Is the
Across
idea
the
that
board.
Right. Is the idea that if hospitals are being mandated to cover people who are uninsured, right? The hospital is going to go under really fast, okay? Or have to close, as we've seen throughout the United States, right? So you only really have two choices. You either have to increase the cost to those who are insured, right? Or you close down and you say no more. We're not going to treat these people. So since by law, right, the Reagan law, they have to treat the people, that means they have to charge more for everybody else. So we all are now paying, right? This isn't about treating undocumented immigrants or giving health care to undocumented immigrants. This is about the idea of, are we one nation? Are we 50 states? Or are we, 4 billion individual people?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is just the markets the way they are. And what people are getting right now is this is the real cost of healthcare in this country. Right?
Yep.
Like, a lot of the real cost of healthcare has been hidden in these subsidies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Somebody goes undocumented to the hospital, they get treated, they don't have the means to pay. The hospital needs to pay their doctors, and they need to pay their staff, and they need to pay for the equipment that was used, and they need to pay for everything. Well, who's paying for that? Well, the state, the federal government, probably both in conjunction, are paying those bills, right, to make sure that everybody who shows up to an ER gets treated. Now you have the law in place, but now you don't have the mechanism for the money to come in. Well, that means, right, that means that cost falls on the rest of us, right? Democrats aren't fighting for undocumented immigrants, right? I mean, I think that's been pretty freaking clear to anybody watching the chaos that's ensuing in Portland and Chicago and New York City, like all these places. But what they are fighting for is that if you show up to an ER, that you're going to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're against that, there's something wrong with you. there really is something wrong with you, right? Because I don't think it's compassionate at all to throw people on the street to die. I really just don't. And those people pointing to the laws, okay, well then what you're saying is you don't want that hospital shouldn't exist in the United States anymore, because that's the eventual goal of this, right? Is we're going to get rid of that hospitals, all these public hospitals are going to go away, right? They're all going to be privatized, okay? And it's going to be, if you have the ability to pay, you can utilize our hospital. Otherwise, go die in your backyard.
That is such a sad, sobering thing.
And
I had,
oh,
I've been going back and forth with my mother, because that's part of the reason why I thought we should talk about this. My mother is like, oh, Democrats want to give 1.5 trillion. She's just regurgitating what's repeated over
Fox
and over
News.
on state news media, which is just, the U.S. version of Russian state media. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is. And I'm trying to explain it. So I explained about exactly what you just said about undocumented immigrants. And then she said, what did she just say? Because I'm going to share her ridiculous statement here.
Uh-oh.
She's got it half right, but the ones the Dems are trying to keep benefits had a temporary status allowing them to receive benefits, but it was not through Medicaid. It was sent to hospitals for their care. You're half right. Neil just cleared that up for you, Mom. Okay? In an emergency situation, per a law signed into effect by Ronald Reagan in 1986, hospitals are required to render care to those in need in the emergency room. Okay, this can happen also for people, not just undocumented immigrants or temporary TPS immigrants, or those of us who have no insurance or are underinsured, because that happens as well. Or if your insurance is run out, if let's say you're treating for cancer and you're been on chemo and you've run through most of your annual funds, because they only pay out a maximum per year, and you hit that maximum, and then something happens, you have a stroke or something related or unrelated to your cancer hits, you're rushed to the hospital, you need treatment, you're out of insurance. Guess what? They apply to Medicaid. A social worker comes along, talks to you, and they apply to Medicaid to get that excess covered that your insurance isn't covering. It's an across-the-board thing, Mom. It isn't just fucking undocumented immigrants. Please get it. And by the way, and I'm going to say this to you, I'm going to say this to everybody else, because one of the things that the Democrats were fighting for was to get those subsidies back in place, which is going to help, which helps people like me who I don't work for a company and I don't have insurance through my job. I retired. When I retired to open my business, one of the things I was happy about was that we had the Affordable Care Act, so I could get a competitive plan. No longer is that going to happen. I won't have those subsidies, and my plan rate is right now, if it was to end today, my plan would more than double. Because what the top line is versus the subsidies that help to lower the rate right away. So I'd be over $1,100 a month just for me. That's a lot of fucking money.
$1,100 is it. So a candidate running for Congress in Georgia has actually happened to a constituent. Family of three, him, his wife, and his kid all utilize the Affordable Care Act, right, to get health insurance. Their monthly premium was roughly $500 a month, right? $500 plus a month, which is a lot of money, right? You really think about 500. that's a lot of money
That's $6,000 a year,
right? So they went on to the page, right? Because now we're sort of in that you got to renew for the current year, right? They were quoted for the same plan, and they had the lowest rung plan, right? They had a bronze plan. Right?
Okay.
For the same plan that they currently have that's costing them $500 plus a month, right, was going to cost them $2,700 a month.
$2,700 a month.
Yes.
Who can live on that?
Without the Affordable Care Act subsidies that had been in the thing, not only will you have closing of rural hospitals, right? But you're going to have people that are going to get booted off and have no health care, right? American citizens, right? Because they can't access health care because it's too expensive for them, right? We're back to this shit again, right? So what you're going to have now is you're going to have not undocumented people, right? What you're going to have now is you're going to have American citizens who no longer can afford health care showing up at hospitals for treatment. What treatment are they going to get given the fact that Medicaid and that the federal government isn't reimbursing hospitals for uninsured or underinsured care, right? You're going to have hospitals closing left and right. Okay, you're going to have massive amounts of people who are going to be without health care next year, right? This is an economic issue.
It's a horrible economic issue.
I don't really give a shit to be honest with you, I don't really give a shit how insensitive you are to people who aren't from this country, right? You want to be racist? Go be racist. Go to another country and be racist. Stay in your own little world and be as racist as you want to fucking be.
Yep.
Okay? Right? This is American citizens. This is America. And what we're basically saying is fuck you. You don't have employer health care. We don't give a shit. You should just die. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the message that Trump and the federal government are sending to you. And if you're okay with that message, great. That's good for you, right? Not good for the rest of us. I'm sorry. This is a democracy, and I'm allowed to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? There's so much vilifying without knowledge.
Yes.
And this healthcare issue is exactly that. It's
Absolutely.
This vilifying without knowledge. This 1986 law, which was passed by Reagan, very compassionate law. Like, you think about it, right? It
was the right law. It was one of the right things he did.
Think about that. Somebody shows up. I don't care whether you're an immigrant, whether you're not an immigrant, whether you're, I don't care what race. You showed up to a hospital, right? If you didn't have a means to pay, they didn't have to accept you. Not for nothing, if you showed up to a hospital and you were a minority, they didn't have to treat you.
Yeah. We're going back to that. They want to they're now using citizenship. They now can ask you if you're a citizen or not. So think about if we used to have people who came here on vacation, and God forbid, and we've seen it happen where just several months ago, before the shit really got bad, we had a helicopter filled with people who were here on vacation crash into the ocean. If anyone had survived and had to be rushed to the hospital, imagine while their bodies are broken and they're bleeding and they're dying. I'm sorry, are you an American citizen? I don't know if we can treat you. Oh, you're on vacation here? I don't know. Can I see your visa? Do you have insurance? That should never happen. That should never happen in America. And this
it's right.
It shouldn't happen anywhere.
It's the first question they ask you is are you a citizen? The second question they ask you is are you insured? If the answer to the first one is yes, I'm a citizen, but I'm not insured, you're going back on the street. Right? This is what we're going back to. And so this idea that Americans aren't, Democrats aren't fighting, again, I'm going to say, Americans aren't fighting for the immigrants, right? They're fighting to keep rural hospitals open.
Yeah. Think about this. Now let's just take what you just said there, okay? And if we're losing rural hospitals, you're now going to have overcrowding in the city hospitals. So, they're going to turn, and they're also, even if you're underinsured, well, you know what? You don't look as bad as this person. So, you're going to have to come back some other time. We can't treat you because we don't have the time.
It's actually even worse than that, right? Because you think about a rural hospital and where they're located, right? For some people, it could be 1 hour,
Hours.
2 hour, 3 hours. It could be hours drive, at which point in time you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, not to be the guy sobering people up here, but right, like this rhetoric is not right. He said, she said. It's not a. This is life and death. Okay, and it shouldn't matter what your background is. You should be compassionate enough to understand that this world we live in, we all live in it, right? And if the federal government isn't subsidizing local hospitals, right, that means your cost has to go up. Because that means you have to pay, if you have that law in the books, so you want to advocate for getting rid of that law, all right, then you're advocating for people dying in the street, right? Like, I mean, I don't understand, like, the stupidity of people, and I really hate putting it that way, because I don't like calling people stupid, but I don't really understand, like, you don't understand, like, how business works. I mean, like, at the end of the day, these are still businesses. You know? They have to pay people. You have to pay your doctors, you have to pay your nurses, you have to pay for the equipment, you have to pay for the electricity, you have to pay for the administrative staff, you have to pay for security. You have to pay for things. Things cost money. This idea that you're going to go and everything is free and that the government's going to give you everything if you're white, right? No, it ain't going to happen. What they're telling you is your cost is going up because they no longer want to take the tax dollars that we all spend to fund local hospitals because they want to create a secret police force that is going to arrest people, right? American citizens, non-American citizens, whoever, and do the president's bidding, okay? And they want all of us to pay more money for it, okay? You show up to that hospital, you're getting treated no matter what. If the costs go up for that hospital and that hospital can't pay its people, right, that means that hospital is closing, which means that you have to find a new hospital, which may be hours and hours away. Okay? So if something happens to you, you're dying.
Yeah.
You have a heart attack, you're dead. Don't even bother calling the ambulance, you're dead. Okay? If you're okay with that,
and this
right,
doesn't matter
then
what
good
color
luck
you
to
are.
you. Then good luck to you, right? I'm not okay with that. I'm sorry. I'm going to be the person that says I'm not okay with that. Yep. Like we need to fund these things, right? And I'm not in favor of somebody's health insurance, a family of 3 that makes, right? If you're lucky, you're making you make $2,500 a month, right? Or maybe you make $4,000 a month, right? Let's just say you make $4,000 a month, okay? Right, that's your take home. Now all of a sudden you got to pay $2,700 a month for healthcare, and then you got to pay another $2,000 for rent, and then you got to pay your car payment and your gas money,
and food, and somewhere
right?
in there, and food is up through the roof.
So where are people getting this fucking money from?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the only way you're living in this country, maybe that's what Miller said, right? Miller said he wants to take this country down to 1 million people. Maybe that's how he does it.
Yeah, to
right?
knock off 2/3.
Right.
2/3
So
of the population.
We'll knock them off by killing them and making sure that they can't afford to live here anymore, and then they'll be forced to leave. And the only people that will be in this country will be the wealthy people, and fuck everybody else.
So for those of you living in red states who are living at or below the poverty line, we're talking about you too. You're part of us. Yeah, it's everybody. So much hatred in this government, it's unreal. And as I mentioned,
the world.
Yeah.
Hatred in the world. Hatred all throughout the United States. I mean, there are people who agree with these policies that are okay with like their hospital closing or their hospital not being funded, right? Because they don't want to see one immigrant get treated. They don't want to see one immigrant, right, get helped or established in the United States because they're all about themselves and they're like, well, what about me? I've heard people say, well, I would rather, a secret police force, right, than an undocumented immigrant getting $1.
That's where we are. This is terrible to be living like this. This is
the land of the free, home of the brave. We want your poor, your hungry, and your huddled masses, right? And anybody wanting to know where that is stated, right, thinking that that's a liberal thing, that comes from the Statue of Liberty.
Yep.
Statue of fucking Liberty, right?
Yep.
Why don't you go and spit on the Statue of Liberty, right? If you agree with Trump right now, just go and spit on her. You know, listen, fuck her, right?
Yeah. Yes.
With that, I got nothing else.
No, I no. You know what? It has.
I think we just got to end there.
Yeah, but we want to, hey, we're gonna, as much as we can, we're gonna, touch on these subjects because these issues affect all the way down here at the local level. And we've talked about the meeting last week. We talked about how they're blaming Democrats for issues that they've caused. They do it here at the local level just as much as they're doing it at the upper level.
The lack of accountability and responsibility.
Yeah, and so, it's up to us, the people, right? What is it that Thomas Jefferson said? When the people fear their government, there's tyranny, but when the government fears their people, there's liberty. By the way, that's where the word liberal comes from. Freedom from encumbrances, freedom from being overreached by your government. That's what liberty and being a liberal is about. So, with that, keep these ideas keep these thoughts in your mind and really think, the way we voice our opposition, besides through peaceful protest and through boycotts, is through our vote. And if we really don't like what's going on, you cannot vote for the status quo. You got to get new faces in there. You got to push these people out. And you've got to do it from the bottom and work our way up to the top.
November 4th.
November
4th, 2025. Make sure you go out and vote. If you have early voting, make sure that then there's no excuse not to vote. Remember to like and share our podcast. You can click the bell at the bottom and that you can be notified when we have a post. And just remember to like and follow us. We're doing the best we can, and Denise and I,
this is another way we fight back is through our voice.
Right. And remember to comment and to leave us a message. And if you would like to be on the show or you have a topic you would like to discuss, DM us or find a way to let us know, make a comment, and we will bring it up. But until next time, thank you very much, everybody, for everything. And from me and Denise, peace out.
We appreciate you. All right. Take care, everybody. Be safe, America.